Good evening. Welcome to the studio this evening. Let's move this camera around a little bit. There we go. One of these days it might just get fixed, that camera, in such a position that it actually works. There again, as that needs some to it, and I don't have any, it probably will. Right. Excuse me. I thought just... No, I don't have camera control. Okay, well, let's hope I don't need to adjust the camera. It looks like the little widget has crashed. There we go. So, hair. Lots and lots of hair. Yeah, so just something that looks like a good pattern, really. Right, so... Just deciding quite what or how. Let's take this further. So I'm just putting a basic hair pattern in that I want to sort of follow, and then what we'll do then is shade it. Yeah, that'll probably do with something like a curve there. Yeah, we'll shade it and then adjust it as necessary. Okay, so I'm going to do that like that. So Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. But it doesn't look any bad at all, really, but... Oh, that one can come there like that. So then we need to... yeah, let's just put a, I don't know, something that looks like a curve perhaps around there. Making this up as I go along. I'm doing things in the style of the hairstyle of the reference picture, as opposed to trying to copy the actual exact style, which it would be quite challenging to do, at least for me. But there is actually no real need to copy it exactly. I highly suspect every time this person brushed their hair, it would come out slightly different. So nobody's likely to look at the pyrography and go, that's wrong because the hairstyle should go left instead of up there or something. But I'd be willing to bet that nobody would actually even notice. That is, if I hadn't already told them. pen's... the best this pen's hot. Of course this pen's hot, that's the whole idea. No, what I meant was there's a lot of heat, because of the way I was holding the pen, there's a lot of heat coming off the tip. Straight up onto my finger. And it's a bit like holding your finger over a candle. It's not that hot, but it gets uncomfortable over time. So we're going to bring that, I'm going to curve around there a little bit, I think, like that. For no other reason than I feel like doing that at that point. So just roughing in the shapes here, so I can see the direction I want the hair to go. And then I can make it darker. There we go. So that's roughly all the hair directions, and I can take it from there. Excuse me, I'm drinking coffee this evening. See, I haven't had a lot to drink today, so I do need to make sure I keep drinking liquid of some kind. Coffee is nice. And whilst things like beer is nice, if you're thirsty, don't drink beer. And that's going to come up there. I need to adjust the colour of this fringe, but we'll sort that shortly. Oh, that's. Oh, that's there. Okay. Right, there's some completely wrong highlights in there, but we will get to that. Don't quite know why, for some reason that my finger's heating up quite a bit here. It doesn't usually. I must be just holding the pen in a slightly different position to normal. Oh, shit. Okay, right, I'm back on. Claire, good evening, welcome. Nice to see you this evening. Hopefully it went really well. It took a long time, but there again, I was about to say I haven't written one for a long time, which is perfectly true actually, but it wasn't so much a case of writing it. It's as usual, it's crafting it and pulling out the right bits for the job that you're after. So I hope it's gone really well. It's off now and we'll still see the outcome, but fingers crossed. Thank you very much. I hope it's successful. I really do. Yes, even well, I kind of got. I was kind of surprised at how long it took me, rather, to do it. But it obviously it was worth taking the time to do that. So. Well, hopefully you never need to do it again, Claire. That looks right to me, and spelling. Hopefully you didn't actually find it difficult. It's just a variation on the box chain that you were doing. And now that you know how to do that, the Byzantine should have been quite easy. Okay, so I've got most of the, well, I've got all the hair patterning in there. Now what I just need to do is do all the shading on it. Yeah, you'll keep looking and think, oh, I've forgotten to fold those two rings. The weird thing is, because it gets a 90-degree twist in it, you seem to have done two. When you first do it, it's a bit like you've done two backwards, because they sort of appear to fold the other way, which gets when you look at it, yeah, it's no, that's right. So how's the paper cutting going as well? They are a lot better pictures. Or picture. I was about to say, is that one picture or is that one you've? But it's one picture, isn't it? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you like this quite a bit. Yeah, that's right. Pale blue and silver. Yeah, nice colour combination. And the others they look very nice as well. Purple and black ice, purple, black and pink, black ice and pink, dark rose rather. Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah, Seafoot. Oh, is it? Okay, yeah, I suppose it is. Can't actually tell. With you saying it is seafoam, I am quite prepared to believe that. I can sort of see it, but um, not. I wouldn't be 100% sure. Could be the backing colour behind it as well that makes it a bit like that. But yeah, they're really nice. Look, yes, it does. It's. I can, when you say it's seafoam, I can see it. If you just said it was pale blue or sky blue, I think the colour is. I'd quite happily believe it. So, and it could. I mean, the flash is blue anyway, so it does tend to enhance blue. So, and I'm looking at that. I'm fairly sure you use flash in it, but enjoying to. Yeah, it's. If I was the sort of person that got addicted to things, chainmail would be one of them. I just wish it was more popular. I'd love to do more of it. No flash. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, which is extremely obvious once you say. I can see light was at the other side because of the shadow. Yeah, that background, it's a nice background like that because it doesn't show, the background I guess is overexposed a little bit because you've tweaked it, but it doesn't show it. It's a nice background, is that, for taking those photographs. Yeah. Oh no, I recall you saying that you got the bead mat. It is something I'll have to pick up at some point. Not least of which is because I'd like to do some more beadwork, but unfortunately the beads that I do like, which are the Delica beads, these things, they're not cheap. But I can't decide which colours I like anyway. Tiny things. But the bracelet well, you've seen it. I think the chevron bracelet is a beautiful bracelet. Pity it takes several hours to make. It's a problem with all these beautiful things like this is whether it's chainmail or the beads or whatever, is the time they take to make. They're beautiful pieces, but a difficult proposition commercially. Yeah, trying to decide what and where to highlight things in this. Oh, actually, just as importantly, rather than highlight, what's the opposite of highlight? Dark light? Oh, it's not shadow. It's kind of black highlight. It's sort of the thing I was trying to think of a word for. Low lights. Yeah, that would be a good word. That'd be the right one. At least I have an excuse. I'm getting old. I can forget things. Low lights. Yeah. It's extremely obvious, isn't it? It really is obvious. Highlights, low lights. It's actually, as I understand it, that is actually phraseology that came from the theatre. Quite literally, because highlights and lowlights. And the highlights tended to be on around the face, which made the face stand out, and that's where people were looking, so they saw them. But lowlights were actually lights, as opposed to dark areas. But it's just that the highlights made things stand out, and the lowlights tended to just fill a bit like a limelight, just fill out. So in some ways it's interesting how language changes, how we think of lowlights as darkness rather than actual lights. Highly possible. Was that meant to be a pun? If so, it was quite clever. If it wasn't, still quite clever. Okay, too late. Too late. The too late refers to the hair that just got caught on the tip. And just did again. Go away, hairs. Rabbits as well. this area around here is much too light, which is kind of odd. It's the camera shows it too light, but it actually doesn't look so bad in real life. But I know with bright light on it would. I have experience of that before, so I'm tend to believe the camera more. It does a real good job of showing how things are going to look. I'm just going over the same areas again, letting the heat build up, colour darken. It actually is also adding texture, so it continues to enhance the hair effect by going over it a second time. I need to make sure it sort of fades in. I don't want too abrupt an edge. You can create like a highlight like that, and there will be. I want to get one around there roughly, like that, which is the sort of the crown highlight. Which means all this sort of got to fade to get slightly lighter towards there. We then sort of do a break in that creates that look, and then a little bit darker away from it, fade lighter around here, and again dark into the background. Somewhat similar to what's on this side. I need to do a bit more work around there. But it's a lot more complete now that we've filled in the whole of the hair area. And just turns what's left really into a shading exercise. Well, if you look into it and you look towards that bit that says Zaragan Art, which MoveBot, I like his timing. You mention it, see, he pops up the link. That was perfect timing, MoveBot. I say he. Whatever MoveBot is. It's not looking. It's just fees aren't too bad. They're about comparable with other places generally, but it just takes time to set up. It took me quite a few days when I started, so sort of don't plan on doing it in an hour or so. I mean, you probably could get something up in an hour or so, but you know, to sort of create a decent experience, then it will take probably take you a few days, or at least I'd suggest planning on it taking you a few days. You might be a lot quicker than I was. I'm just trying to decide whether I like that sort of colour that I've got there, shade colour, or whether I actually want to do something about it. It's probably not quite. That being shorthand for not quite right. It's me talking in shorthand again. I used to know kind of shorthand. I don't mean talking shorthand, I mean literally shorthand. T-line. As opposed to, is it Pitman shorthand? Who's the official shorthand? Pity is I can't remember it these days. It used to be really good for meetings and conversations. You could actually, well, that's what shorthand's for. You could keep up. And afterwards, when somebody goes to you, but I didn't say that, and you go, what you said was exactly. Solved a lot of discussions. Did that. Kind of wish I could do it again. You know, still do it. Mind you, I did come across my old, the old training book for it the other day. So maybe it is something just for the fun of it I'll take up again. I used to practice watching the news, write down what the newsreaders said. You're into a lot of paper as well. You really kind of had to use lined paper, so it was notebooks and things like that. So these days I guess I just print a sheet of you know, do it on the printer, lined paper on the printer. But yes, yeah, you decide to open the shop when you're ready. That's too smooth. That's why it looks odd. That's better. just a little bit of extra darkness, and it changes it from just a, well, on the camera like a smooth colour into actually sort of a little bit more, just the extra texture. When you start going through Etsy, when you first sort of register, it walks you through sort of you fill in basic details, add a product, something else, and then delivery options, I think, and then it sort of gives you the option to go live. And some of the things it doesn't tell you about until you've got 4 or 5 products in there, like instead of individually specifying delivery options for each item, you can create a it's like a delivery profile, and then what you, or one or more delivery profiles, and then when you create a product you say give it this delivery profile that you want, but then you've got to go back over the products you've just added to change what you've just done. And it's kind of like, why didn't you tell me that in the first place? But it's designed, I guess, to make it easy for people to start. But then, yeah, it's quite helpful to to get you started. But there is a lot of stuff. Well, I won't say it's hidden. It's not exactly hidden, but it's not exactly visible as well, that they kind of don't tell you about, or they only kind of mention incidentally later. Things like the delivery profiles that I just mentioned. There's some of the shop profile stuff kind of doesn't tell you anything about. You just sort of come across it. No, you need to upload at least one photo. You could upload a placeholder, just something, because you can always edit the item. Just don't publish it. You can edit the item and change the photograph, because any item that you put up there isn't visible until it's published. But I think you've got to put certain things in order to even save it as a draft, and I think a photograph's one of them. And I think you have to categorize it. I think that's the other thing that has to be there in order for you to save it, which is kind of, I kind of feel a little bit frustrated at sometimes. It's kind of like, if I knew all that stuff I'd be able to publish it. I don't. That's why I want to save it and come back to it. But yes, that's right. Until you actually make it public, you actually publish it, that's when it charges the 20 cents. It does warn you as well, so it's not like you can accidentally do it. It sort of, when you say publish, it says this will cost you an insertion fee of this amount. Do you actually want to go ahead? And so you don't sort of accidentally do things. Well, for anybody else watching that doesn't know, which probably included me not so long ago, apparently tomorrow is Burns Night, which is a traditional sort of Scottish time of the year, which means absolutely nothing to me other than it's a traditional Scottish time of the year. That's about all I know from it. Being Scotland, of course, it certainly does include bagpipes and haggis. But other than that, I have no idea why it's there or what it's for. Is it? Indeed it is. I only got to know myself because somebody told me, and I would not have known otherwise, but maybe what I'll have to do on the stream tomorrow, if I do manage to stream tomorrow, is see if I can find some royalty-free bagpipe music to play while the stream's going on. Actually, I don't actually mind bagpipes. I wouldn't necessarily want them to be played at normal volume, but I don't actually mind bagpipe music. No. There's a lot of people don't like bagpipes, and yet I think as an instrument they're quite an amazing instrument in a way. Strictly speaking, it's not much different to something like an accordion or something like that. It produces its sound in virtually the same way. It's just squeezed differently, and there's it's got a finger pipe as opposed to a fingerboard. But yeah, make your ears bleed. Nah. And yet, I am sure, Claire, you'd quite happily go to a music concert, and stand near the speakers, wouldn't you? A lot of people would. And sound pressure levels around some of those speakers will make your ears bleed. It's a commission turkey, so it's just a person. Eat more chips. Good evening, welcome. That area there is too light. That at least is better for the moment. We'll deal with the lower end of that hair strand later. Have I been? I've not been too bad. I've been really busy with work things, which has stopped me streaming either by being late or having other necessary things to do. But I trust you and Turkey also have been well. Okay, let's Hmm. Oh, the Tesla. Yeah, I told you you'd like it. Okay, that wants that's a little bit too. That shape was a bit of a mistake. Might see if we can disguise that a little bit, I think. It's not fun, not too difficult a thing to do. We just basically go over the top again, but. The thing about electric cars is everybody thinks they're slow. Fastest production road car as far as I'm aware is electric. Fastest acceleration 0 to 60 is electric. Fastest acceleration 60 to 100 is electric. Unlike internal combustion engines, electric develops most torque at 0 turn, and therefore its acceleration is somewhat amazing. Internal combustion engines, a lot of them don't, well, depending whether you're talking about diesel or petrol, but they can be upwards of 1,000-2,000 RPM before they start developing a lot of torque, and that's where you get the acceleration from. But so you need bigger engines to do what a smaller electric engine will do. They tend to be, because of the size of the electric elements, which tend to be smaller than internal combustion as well, then you get more room in the car. Okay. The really fast electrics tend to sound more like jet engines. One of these days, there's the F1 racing. You've got E1 racing, which is electric, which is supposed to be quite loud apparently. And one of these days, I'll have to watch a program probably, just see what it's like. But the one thing you can do with an electric engine, which is easier to do, is you can always record a petrol engine and play it back over speakers. so that an electric car sounds like a combustion engine. Well, yeah, I mean, when they first came out, the idea was to make them distinctive so that people looked at them. I mean, part of the design criteria is things like drag factors and stuff like that, and that meant a different shape to cars, and that's what people saw or thought of as sort of futuristic, spaceship. But there's a lot of cars that are now mimicking that sort of shape, even petrol cars. So it goes through phases. 10, 20 years ago, cars were really square. Then they got I described it as a melted chocolate look, and that was, and it's just developments of that as they learn more about aerodynamics. But yeah, the Tesla just looked like a normal production car, and that was the idea of it. But quiet cars. Well, when you've been driving several hundred miles in a car, quiet's nice. I used to do 1,000 or more miles a week, and it was quite a decent car. But when you turn the engine off and you got that silence, that was really nice, and electric would have been great for that. Yeah, and that is how you spell Tesla, by the way, that's correct. Oh, I don't know. Motorway for a few hours. Usually like I say, usually the only reason why you're on a motorway for a few hours is because you're in a traffic jam. Yorkshire to London is only about 2.5, 3 hours. But yeah, and having a decent car on the motorway is relaxing. But what you have to be careful of is not to relax quite so much or too much. You need to stay awake on a motorway. Yeah. Okay. I used to frequently drive to Scotland, up to Edinburgh, Glasgow, and even further north than that, and that's 7 or 8 hours. But a lot of that isn't motorway; it's air roads and things like that, so it's not quite the same. That's the only thing with the big engines on motorways, you can it's idling, but it sort of is the lope along a little bit, and you don't actually have to work as hard. But once you get off the motorway with the big cars, it can be harder work than a small car. That's a little bit bright, but it's not bad shaping. Now we'll make it darker. It's interesting, I can see the hair coming off the top there, even though it isn't. It's just the way the background shading is. 1 to 3 hours, yeah. I used to spend a lot of time on the south coast of England, and being from Yorkshire, south coast is a fairly lengthy journey. I also used to spend a lot of time in Croydon, and the one thing I learnt about being in Croydon is don't leave Croydon on a Friday afternoon or even a Friday lunchtime. Croydon itself is okay. The journey from there to the motorway is another matter. The M25 doesn't have the reputation of being a rather large car park for nothing. You live in Croydon, do you, Claire? Ah, okay. I used to spend quite a bit of time down there. Oh, Pearly. I was just this. I actually used to spend quite a bit of time in Croydon. Yeah, it probably would. Don't think I've ever... Have I ever been in one? I don't know, but I can imagine I've been in sort of similar style things. Pearly. Have I ever been to Pearly? Not sure I've been to Pearly. I know I once lost my car in Croydon. Parked it, went somewhere, came back and couldn't find it. It wasn't where I'd left it, only it actually was where I'd left it. I just wasn't where I'd left it. But got completely confused as to where it was. I think it took me about an hour or more to find. After that, I was really careful about remembering where it was, wherever I was, whichever town I was in. One thing I never did and kept meaning to do was to stop at the airport on the way in, just to have a look at the plane. Maybe that's one of those things I'll do one of these days. makes quite a nice highlight. So we'll leave that like that. Well, if I ever get down there again, Claire, I might take you up on that offer. But I don't think I'm likely to for a long time, to be honest. When I was down there a lot, I was working in sales, and a lot of my customers, well, one of my customers specifically was in Croydon, or just outside of it. So I used to be down there quite a bit. But I'm not in sales anymore. Well, you will have known that from the conversation right at the start of the stream, but yeah, I think Hillman Imp is about the nearest vehicle I've had in terms of engine type things to VW campers, but it's not the same thing at all. But there is one sort of really nice things about things like the VW campers and other vehicles of a similar style, and that is whether you pull into a lay-by at the side of the road, whatever, you just sort of hop over the seat and you've got a nice comfortable place to sit. You've got a table, a place to make a cup of coffee, sit back, relax. You get that in a car. So I mean, it's people who don't like like fast cars or whatever, don't like things like that, but they have their advantages and they have their disadvantages. They're not as fast or whatever, but you take your lunch with you and sit up VW, throw the side door open in the countryside on a nice warm day, sit back, hot cup of tea or whatever just made, or even a bacon sandwich, and you can't do that in a Bugatti or something like that. Yeah, and when you're on the M25 in rush hour, it doesn't matter what vehicle you've got, you're still only doing 20 miles an hour. Yep, probably is, you're right. I used to drive a bigger version of similar sort of idea, not a VW, but a bigger version of something like that. And with you've got gas cooker in there, gas fire in there, and whatever. So if you did break down, you just hopped in the back, turn the gas fire on, and you're nice and warm. I never did break down in it, but I did stay in quite a few places overnight, and for various reasons when I had it, and that was a really nice thing to do. Is just sit back with the gas fire on. M25 rush hour is slow. Yeah, that's an exaggeration. That makes to say it's slow is a bit like saying mountains move. I'm being a bit unfair because actually, generally speaking, it's quite. It is slow, but you get there. It's just the common joke of, isn't it, that the M25 is static, and it's not most of the time. Mind you, I did make the mistake one time of what was it? I think I was wanting to go to Croydon. It must have been something like that. So I was coming down from north and decided I'd go across central London because it was only 12 miles as opposed to around the M25, which was about 40. And I kind of wished afterwards I'd gone around the M25. An extra hour. It wasn't that slow then. Eat more chips. That leaving Croydon on a Friday lunchtime, done it more than once, and it sort of is 6 hours to get round the M25. Well, yeah, at least 6 hours. So an extra hour as opposed to it being an hour at most. Yeah. Of course, that was then, not now, and I know they do a lot of things now like variable speed limits and stuff. So the idea being to actually smooth the traffic flows out, because a lot of problems on the motorways is caused by people speeding up and stopping. If people drove smoothly on the motorway and maintain distance and things like that, and it would actually be a lot faster. Which of course is why they introduce variable speed limits, to try and get people to travel steady. It was the first time you've been on it. Not such a good experience then. There's a lot of these smart motorways being done in the UK now at the moment. I don't quite know what it is about them that's smart. They've got variable speed limits, but smart motorway kind of... I can't quite bring the image to mind of quite what that means. I half expect it ought to mean that it adjusts its own speed limits, but I bet it doesn't. I bet it's just it's got variable speed limits, and it's like these smart light bulbs and things like that you can buy for your house. You know, it's intelligent light bulbs, smart light bulbs, and you know, they're light bulbs that you can control with a smartphone, you know, with your iPhone or your Android phone. So you have to link your phone to your light bulb, and then for some reason that makes your light bulb smart. It drives me potty. You know, it's things like automate your house. Okay, I want to turn my light on. Where did I leave my phone? Search through the house looking for phone. Find phone. Find phone is flat. Search house looking for charger. Find charger, plug it in, wait 5 minutes for it to have enough power to turn on. Turn on, find out the app needs updating. Update the app. And okay, now I can put my light on. What's smart about that? Oh, it's one of my it's a bit one of my sort of, in a way, it's pet peeve in a way, that when I read things about, you know, the intelligent home automation, you know, it's this smart light bulb, or it would be some other smart thing like that where you need to have a mobile phone. I don't carry a mobile phone around with me in the house, and if it was that smart, why do I need a mobile phone? It should have turned itself on because it knew I was there and it was getting dark and I wanted the light on. If it didn't do that, how's it smart? Sorry. Home automation is kind of one of the things I am interested in. I don't think it's there yet, but it sort of does interest me at when people have implemented these sorts of things that actually work properly. So they actually do things like know that there's somebody in a room and it's getting dark, so it puts the light on. They don't have to. And you know, when they walk out the room, it goes, "There's nobody else here. Let's turn the lights out, or shut the curtains, or things like that." So home automation done properly. That's not right. Not sure what's not right about it yet, but it's not right. So I'll come back to it. That's a pity. Eat more chips. Yeah, our cats are a little bit clumsy at the moment. Don't know if they're doing it on purpose or it truly is accidental, but they used to be a lot less clumsy, shall we say. So they're these plastic models, or are they the actual live steam ones? I'm guessing maybe they're the plastic ones, but there again, I didn't know you could get. Have you made them from scratch? Plastic kits for traction engines. But it's still not something you want to knock off just to have something to do. I'm sure there's better things to do than repair models. Okay, that's gone rather nondescript there. There's no, there is texture here, but as you're looking at it, it's just sort of a plain sort of colour, no real distinguishing marks there. It just looks like a blob of colour. So it doesn't seem to have any sort of shape or texture to it. So that's one of the things that my job, if you like, to make sure it has a texture and a shape. So even things like this that start to help you get an idea it's curved. Too big live steam. Okay. An 8-day die cast. Showman engines, yeah. 5 plastic and die. Oh. A nice collection. Sorry, say little. I didn't mean as in disparaging, but you know, a nice collection there. But the live steam traction engine is kind of one of those things I always wanted to have. One of the Mammoth, I think, must be the name because it just came to me. Live steam engines, traction engines, sort of models. I always kind of wanted to have one. Never did. Never did get one, and I probably wouldn't have steamed it that often, I guess, even if I had. But it just always seemed it always seemed a cool thing to have. Of course, if you'd steamed it, it wouldn't have been cool. It would have been quite hot. But yeah, it was one of those. Well, let's go. Okay, one of those things that sort of always seemed like it, be a nice thing to have. A live steam traction engine. Mind you, these days, with with being able to sort of do remote control, it sort of would be a little bit more sort of practical as a model. To control it and drive it by remote control. Because I seem to remember back then it was kind of like a long springy, just a piece of wire that sort of connected to the wheel, so that you could actually turn it, but you just sort of walk with it. And okay, Mammoth's probably the only one I know of from back then, and maybe I can't remember if it was the only one around, but they seem to be the ones that you saw a lot of, and you kind of, mind you, Willesco did. It wasn't a name that I went and don't know that. I do know of the name, so. But yeah, I like modelling and I like models, so those sorts of miniatures of things, miniature, because it's kind of I kind of in a way hate the word models. It's like when I fly the helicopters, you get some people who describe them as toys, which is toys. They're miniatures. They're real helicopters. They're real traction engines. They're real steam engines. They're just small, and they have all the same issues and problems of big engines. Like with a traction engine, you boil the boiler dry and it will tend to melt down. You overpressurize it. If your safety valve sticks, the thing will go bang. The helicopters, they spin their rotors and they fly just like their larger sized counterparts. Okay, well, maybe I'll just have to, I'm not about to get one, but maybe I'll have to have a look just to see. I mean, these days I guess remote control has become a lot more affordable to put into models. I mean, these one time model cars with remote control were sort of several £100. These days are about $20, £25, that sort of thing. So there's a lot more things that are remote controllable now than they ever used to be. That wants to be dark. So I'll have to have a look. Actually, I suppose it doesn't surprise me because I know you can get miniature steam engines, and I mean miniature steam engine for train steam engines, miniature ones. And I mean, I do mean miniature ones. I don't mean the big ride-on things, but which are remote control. The hell is the big ones, probably about a 30-inch rotor. They're electric. I don't have any IC ones these days. I used to have one with a long time ago, a 5-foot rotor disc, which was big. I actually prefer the smaller ones, but the bigger ones are easier to fly. They're just a little bit more intimidating in a small space, which is I fly them in a small space. But I've got yeah, the biggest I've got is about a 4-foot rotor disc, 3'6" rotor disc. Then we come down to about 18 inches. Don't know if I can get this on screen. There we go, T-Rex. I can't. I haven't got camera control, so but there we go. That way. So that's not. This is the small. This is the large small one, or the small large one. This one actually is my favourite to fly of the standard rotor type helicopters. And I've got a couple of little miniature ones that literally will sit on my hand, and some quadcopters. They're not drones. The quadcopters, and in actual fact I built one of them on stream a while ago now, but we actually built it on stream, and I didn't fly it on stream, but I did play the first flight back. But I haven't actually flown the helicopters now. I'll have to fly them again this summer. I really will, because I don't think I flew them last summer at all, and I'll be out of practice if I'm not careful. They're well, to get technical about it, they're fly-barless, which means that they're a little bit harder to fly anyway. Your Phantom is probably worth more than they are. It's a nice helicopter, is that, but in some ways the drone, I find the drones interesting, but I'm not that sure I want to fly one. They're, I mean, they're interesting as camera platforms and things like that, and if I want it, and you know, it's an interesting thing to do, is use it as a camera platform. But the thing about drones is effectively, for me, they're an autonomous vehicle that you're telling where to go. So it sort of flies itself, and you sort of say go up, right, left, essentially, and it's sort of highly stabilized and everything else, and that kind of doesn't appeal to me. If I was wanting to take photographs or use it as a camera platform, it would definitely, but yeah, it would take you a while to save up for it. Mind you, having said which, both of those two, when I bought them, probably were about the same sort of price, but I had to build mine, which was a large proportion of the fun was actually building them from the kits, and then trimming them, and then learning how to fly them. I could actually fly helicopters before I got those two, but they're still somewhat of a handful to fly. Although this one is really quite. I really do enjoy flying them, actually, which makes me wonder all the more why I haven't been flying them. I know one of the reasons is it takes so long to charge the battery packs. It takes an hour to charge each pack, but with those packs, the battery pack is 7 minutes on the big one and 9 on the smaller one. So with a couple of battery packs each, that's 4 hours to charge for half an hour flying. The quad's actually better. The quad lasts about 30 minutes on the battery pack, on the same battery pack that the big helicopter runs on, so it's a heck of a lot more efficient. Yeah, the pirate drones. See, I'm not into particularly into speed. I mean, it never fantastically was, even with flying aircraft. I mean, if you're flying things like jets, then they're fast, but that's just as a consequence of the fact they've got a jet engine in them. The bit that fascinates me about helicopters is actually hovering, rather than specifically flight as such. That's the bit that interests me about helicopters. So sort of high-speed drones, like they really don't interest me at all. One of the things I want to do battery charging wise is pick up a quad charger at some point so I can charge 4 batteries in one go. Chinooks are stable. Yeah, no more than any other actually. I do have a miniature. Well, we do have. Yeah, there is a miniature Chinook around here somewhere. They're a little bit more manoeuvrable, but they're not fantastically more stable. I mean, the twin rotor actually doesn't really give it that much extra stability. I mean, the quadcopter's got 4 rotors, and those things can be really unstable. The only thing about the Chinooks as models, if they've been done as models, then and for the Chinooks they have to be actually. I'm thinking about it. The rotors are synchronized. They have to be, otherwise they smash each other up because they overlap. What that means is you don't have to worry about torque because the rotors spin in opposite directions. So you don't have, with a helicopter, the body wants to rotate against the opposite direction as the main rotor, which is what the tail rotor is there for. Is to stop it, and you have to balance that force against the main rotor, and the two are separate to each other in terms of how much force they are. With a Chinook, they're balanced, so you take away that problem of it wanting to twist, which is a real hard part about flying a helicopter, is that torque reaction. These days, with the gyros that you've got in the helicopters, model helicopters, miniature helicopters, that's largely gone away. I first learnt to fly, or almost learnt to fly helicopters when there were no gyros. You had to control it by yourself, and that was hard. That was hard. These days, the drones. That's because when I was a lad, it's turned into one of those stories. Yeah, technology moves on. It's made flying helicopters a lot more easy and more accessible to people. More people are flying models, so that can't be bad. My favourite aircraft, though, were still gliders. A particular type called slope soaring, so you throw it off the edge of a slope, and the wind blowing up the slope is what keeps the glider flying. I kind of love being at the top of a hill with a fairly stiff breeze blowing just in the middle of the country somewhere, and it's nice, relaxing, and flying a model about without an engine. Yeah, I do. I never have, but I kind of always wanted to learn how to fly a full-size one. I probably, well, potentially I could go and do it if I had the money, but I've never actually been in a helicopter. Okay, some of these shapes are coming in now. And okay, just seeing what the time is. Another few minutes. Congratulations. Yeah. Maybe one of these days I'll do it, but I might get a chance, but never have so far. We do have them fly over the house quite often of various kinds. Occasionally we'll sort of lean out the window and take a look. Okay, that's kind of come under there, so it's going to be dark under there, or darkish. Mind you, one thing I can claim is I've never flown in a helicopter, but I have flown in Concorde, so I can claim that one. Now that is an amazing, or was, should I say, an amazing aircraft to fly in. What is going on? Sorry, I don't understand. What is it I'm doing? if that's what you mean. I am shading hair here. I'm trying to get the shapes, well, to get the shapes in, get the shading so that it looks. Oh, I see what you mean now. Yeah. Someone just pushed all the pins over. Some clever individual then, I guess. That must be a little bit darker. It's a little bit bright. We'll turn it down a bit for the moment. That's good of you. Okay, and I need to do some colouring there, but we're not going to do that tonight. It's now 20 past 10. It's time I finished. I've been streaming almost 2 hours, so that's about right. So we've got most of the hair, well, we've got all of the hair shaping. Shading and colouring needs to be done on the fringe here. It's too light, and there's some shaping to be done around here. Some of those shapes I don't like. They're a bit better here in person than they are on camera, but I've got to do some more work on it. But we're getting towards the end of this. The main thing is going to be the glasses and the eyes to finish, and maybe some shading elsewhere, but we'll look at that later. So that's about it. So what I'm going to do is say thank you to everybody that's watching. I'm going to point out the zaragonart.com and zaragon.etsy.com for the shop. Check out. Pictures like that are from stuff done on the stream, but are also available in the shop. Lovely, pretty jewellery to buy. Anybody's watching that's not following, then I'm going to say feel free to follow. I'd be grateful for you to follow, but you don't have to. You do, of course, get the notification when I go live on my next stream. If you would wish to do so, you can also follow me on Twitter. It's @zaragonart. A tweet goes out when I go live, as well as when I don't go live, just in case something comes up. And on the other hand, if you just want to try and catch the next stream, I try and be on each night. At the moment, that's not always possible, but from about 8 PM UK time. 2000 hours UTC or GMT, they're both the same. Or 2.5 hours ago, give or take a bit. Thank you all. Hope to see you in the studio again in the future. So I wish you all a very good night from the... Eat more chips, thank you very much. I was going to say I wish you all a very good night from West Yorkshire, the county of the White Rose. Bye for now.